Okay, so have you ever thought that maybe what you choose to read and write about could actually make you a better learner?
Yeah, that's actually a fascinating question, and it's something that researchers at UAE University wanted to dive into.
Really?
Yeah, so they did this really interesting study with male university students to see if letting them pick their own research topics would actually make a difference.
Wow, so they just got to choose whatever they wanted, like no limitations.
Well, it wasn't a complete free-for-all. They still had to stick to the overall subject matter of the course.
Right, of course. Makes sense.
But within that framework, they had the freedom to zero in on something that really piqued their interest.
Okay, I'm already intrigued. I mean, think about it. How often do we actually get to choose what we really want to research, even in school?
Right, it's usually here's the textbook, here's the topic, now write a 5-page paper.
Exactly. And then we wonder why some people just don't enjoy learning. So what did they find? Did giving students that choice actually change how they approach those research assignments?
Well, it wasn't a magic bullet. The students still had their share of struggles, especially at first. Like, imagine diving into a research paper when you're used to just skimming the surface.
Oh, I could totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Just trying to find credible sources alone can feel like a part-time job. It's information overload out there.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you have to synthesize all that information, make sense of it, and then somehow transform it into a well-structured argument.
It's like trying to put together a puzzle, but you don't have all the pieces, and the picture on the box is blurry.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, these students, they weren't all experienced researchers. So just getting a handle on the mechanics of academic writing, things like paraphrasing, even basic grammar and vocabulary, those were hurdles too.
Right, because even when you're passionate about something, actually putting it all down on paper can be a whole other beast, right?
Absolutely.
But even with those bumps in the road, the researchers found something pretty remarkable.
They did. They found that compared to students who were assigned topics, the ones who chose their own research paths were way more likely to push through those challenges.
They didn't just give up at the first sign of difficulty?
Nope. They stuck with it, and what's more, they actually seemed to enjoy the process more.
It's like they had this newfound sense of ownership over their work, right? Like, this isn't just an assignment, this is my project, my exploration.
Exactly. And that seemed to make all the difference. The researchers think that by tapping into the students' intrinsic motivation, that natural curiosity we all have, it gave them the fuel they needed to overcome those obstacles.
It wasn't about the grade anymore, it was about the learning itself.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective from I have to do this to I want to learn this, that's where things start to get really interesting.
Okay, so they're more engaged, more persistent, but did it actually translate into a deeper understanding of the material?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And the researchers found that yes, it actually did. When students were able to choose topics relevant to their own majors and personal interests, their knowledge within those areas deepened significantly.
So it's not just about feeling good about learning. It's about actually learning more effectively. That's huge. I mean, it makes sense though, right? Think about something you're super passionate about. Are you more likely to skim the surface, or are you the one digging for every last detail, every hidden fact?
Oh, I'd be knee-deep in research, for sure. And that's exactly the kind of enthusiasm and engagement this study found when students were given that freedom to choose.
It's like the difference between reading a textbook because you have to, and getting lost in a book because you can't put it down.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. What's really fascinating is that the benefits of student choice extended far beyond just better research skills.
You mean there's more? Okay, you've got to tell me more. What else did they find?
So, get this. They found that when students got to pick what they researched, it wasn't just about the academics, it actually had this ripple effect, changing how they saw themselves as learners.
You mean they were like, hey, I can actually do this research thing. Maybe I'm not so bad after all.
Exactly. It really boosted their confidence. Some even said it helped them grow as people, which might sound kind of wild, but think about it.
Hold on. So you're saying researching something they chose, actually changed them as people.
That's what they found. When you're really digging into a topic, you're bound to bump into different viewpoints. You have to think critically and figure out how to get your own ideas across clearly.
So you're not just learning about the topic itself, you're leveling up your thinking skills, learning to see things from different angles.
Right. And those are skills you can use anywhere, not just in school.
It's like you're building this toolkit for life, not just for exams.
Exactly. It all comes back to that inner drive we were talking about, that intrinsic motivation. When you're curious, it changes everything.
So they were saying, I'm not just checking boxes here. This is for me.
And that's powerful stuff. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Even with that personal investment, there were still some hurdles, things that tripped them up along the way.
Like what? What were some of the biggest challenges they faced?
Well, imagine you're super stoked about this topic, but then you realize finding reliable information is like wading through a swamp of, well,
Oh, I've been there. Trying to separate the good stuff from the fluff, it's exhausting.
And then once you do find those nuggets of truth, you've got to somehow wrangle them into some kind of coherent narrative, right? It's not just about summarizing, it's about weaving a story.
Right. It's like having all the ingredients but no recipe. You need to figure out how to put it all together.
Exactly. And just when you think you've got a handle on the content, there are those technical details lurking in the shadows.
Oh, you mean like grammar and spelling? Those can trip up even the most experienced writers.
Tell me about it. And for these students who weren't all English majors, that was a real pain point.
It's like trying to run a marathon with a pebble in your shoe. Even a small thing can throw you off your game.
And yet, even with those challenges, the researchers found that because those students were driven by their own desire to learn, they were much more likely to view those obstacles as, well, surmountable.
It's like those challenges became part of the journey, not the end of the road.
Precisely. And that, I think, is a powerful takeaway for all of us, no matter what we're learning. When we're passionate about something, we're more likely to embrace those challenges as part of the process.
It's like those roadblocks become opportunities to learn and grow rather than reasons to give up.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of this study. It wasn't just about overcoming challenges, it was about the unexpected benefits that emerged from this whole process of student choice.
Okay, you've got to tell me more. What kind of unexpected benefits are we talking about? Unexpected benefits, you've really piqued my curiosity now. What did they find?
Well, remember how we were talking about those students feeling more confident, more capable when they got to choose their own research topics?
Yeah, they were like, hey, I can actually do this research thing.
Exactly. Well, it turns out that newfound confidence actually spilled over into other areas of their academic lives.
Really? So it's like that feeling of, I can tackle this research paper, somehow morphed into, hey, maybe I can ace this calculus exam too.
That's the idea. It's like that initial experience of success, of overcoming those research challenges, gave them this boost of self-belief that extended beyond just that one assignment.
That makes sense. Success breeds confidence, right?
Yeah.
And confidence can be a real game changer when it comes to tackling new challenges, whether it's in school or in life in general.
Absolutely. And what's even more interesting is that some students even reported feeling like they had a better understanding of themselves, their strengths, and their interests after going through this process of choosing their own research topics.
It's like that deep dive into a particular subject
Yeah.
somehow led to a deeper understanding of themselves. That's fascinating.
It is fascinating, isn't it? And it speaks to the power of intrinsic motivation, that inner drive we keep coming back to. When you're genuinely curious about something, when you're fully invested in the learning process, it can lead to these unexpected but incredibly valuable insights, not just about the world around you, but also about yourself.
It's like you're not just expanding your knowledge, you're expanding your self-awareness too.
Exactly. And that, I think, is a powerful takeaway from this study. It reminds us that learning isn't just about memorizing facts or mastering skills. It's about personal growth. It's about discovery. And it's about that incredible feeling of, aha, I get it now, both in terms of the subject matter and in terms of our own potential.
It's like you said earlier, it's about rediscovering that joy of learning, that spark of curiosity that we all have within us. And I think that's something we could all use a little more of in our lives.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the message is clear. Embrace your curiosity. Don't be afraid to dive into those topics that really light you up, even if they challenge you, even if they take you outside your comfort zone. You might be amazed by what you discover, not just about the world, but about yourself along the way. Until next time.